All right, the chapter summary for chapter 5 with consumer behavior course. This deals with subcultures. This is the subset of the culture in the United States or in any culture. When you have a subset of a main culture, we call that a subculture. Now, the definition, I do want you to pay attention to the definition. It has two distinct parts. The definition is that it is a subset of the culture. You know, it's different from the culture. However, the second part is very important. The subculture has more in common with the main culture than different. And what that means is that even though it's a subset or is different from the main culture, it's not that much different. Let me give you an example. We have the U.S. culture. A subculture of the U.S. culture would be the South. We do things a little bit differently in the South. The foods we eat, the vehicles we drive, our behavior, consumer behavior, is impacted by our subculture, the South. However, we have more in common with the U.S. culture than we do different. So even though we're a subculture, we still have a lot of shared characteristics with the main culture, the mother culture, with that. We can establish a subculture or identify a subculture on many different bases. Ethnicity, religion, geography, like the Southern culture, age, senior adult subculture. Your textbook looks at several of those. I've already looked at geography. That one's pretty straightforward. Age, if we look at that, that would be senior adults. That subculture behaves much differently than, say, the teenage subculture kind of thing. The textbook also looks at ethnicity, nationality. And with that, if you could get an understanding of some of the minority groups or the smaller ethnic groups, the majority would be that group in the United States that's white, Anglo. That's the majority, 2/3, a little bit more than 2/3 of the population. We would classify as that as the majority. But then there are significant sized groups. The largest ethnic subculture would be the Hispanic subculture, about 16% of our population today in the United States. The numbers in the textbook are off just a little bit because it's dated. So if you want to get current numbers, you can go to the U.S. Census Bureau for that. But the Hispanic subculture, the fastest growing, it's the largest ethnic subculture in the United States. And then next would be African American, then Asian American, and then Native American, and then break down from there. But Hispanic about 16%, and then African American about 14%, and then you drop significantly down to Asian American like 4% or less, and then Native Americans make up less than 1% or right at 1%. So you can see the pretty quick drop off there with those subcultures. But looking at how behavior as consumers are different with each of those ethnic subcultures is what I would be most interested in you learning through the authors of the textbook and on your own, maybe with your current event assignment. This is a ripe topic for a current event. But for example, the Hispanic subculture, very family oriented. The grocery shopping is a family event, going out together as a family and purchasing things. And I think at the beginning of the chapter, the textbook looks at the purchase of meat by the Hispanic subculture. They buy meat cut a certain way for the foods that they prepare. That is an ethnic subculture's influence on our buying behavior as consumers. So take a look at that, and that is the summary for chapter 5.